Today I'm joined by Bristol City Chairman Jon Lansdown here at Ashton Gate. So first of all, Jon, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
No problem. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah. So first of all, when were your first proper Bristol City memories and football memories overall?
Well, first game was in 1990. Came along with my dad. We sat over in the Dolman stand, and we won 1-0 at home against Bury. Dave Smith scored, rounded the goalkeeper, I think, and put it into empty net. But that's my first memory of football was here. Yeah, and that was really the start of it. I think we ended up getting promoted that year. But no, it was been that ever since, and it's always been a family thing for me.
Yeah, funny enough, my season was as well. We got promoted. Must have been 2014-15 season, I think. But did you ever start supporting City when you were younger, or what other teams did you support before you got involved with City?
Yeah, so when I first came down, I was only 6, so for me that was it. Other than obviously England, didn't really ever have a Premier League team or anything else. So no, it's always been Bristol City for me.
Good to hear, definitely. When did you first start getting involved with working at City?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it was 2009. So yeah, going on 12 years. Yeah, longer than it feels like. So no, it's been from the start of the new stadium team, and then obviously coming onto the board and everything else. So yeah, it's been a real good journey.
What did you first do when you did join City in the sort of stadium team?
Yeah, so it was right at the beginning of the decision to try and build a new stadium at Aston Villa. So it was all through that project in terms of the planning and how it was going to look and everything else. And obviously we had the town and village green kerfuffle in the middle. So it was all kinds of things. It was really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And then what was it like actually then getting into the board and becoming the chairman of a professional football team like Bristol City?
I mean, for me, it's that same thing, because you are a fan, so you've got to be able to think with your head as well as your heart. But I think it also helps because you know the city, you know the club, and you that's what you care about. So for me, I've always been really interested in the community side of it, in the Robbins Foundation, and obviously then working at the club. And obviously when you become a director, there's more pressure that goes with that. But I'd never complain because it's doing something you love. So. And now, yeah, I'm really proud to be chairman, and then hopefully we can continue some progress. Obviously, last year was a bit of a blip.
Yeah, definitely. And what does your job actually consist of, and what do you do on a daily basis as the chairman of Bristol City?
I mean, it's quite varied because I'm on boards of the other sports as well, and Bristol Sport. So I mean, I'm kind of responsible for branding and marketing in terms of directorship of Bristol Sport. As chair, you're in charge of the board, and in terms of that governance side of it. But really, you've got Richard Gould, chief executive, who will lead it on the ground. He's in charge of that. You've got Nigel Pearson, who's running it from the football team point of view, and all of the staff in the middle. And as a board, you're there to help set strategy, and almost it's the governance side of it, and keep everything in check to make sure that it is as you want it for the whole club. So in that point of view, it's more of an aerial view, and then just making sure that hopefully everyone's working in sync and being able to have sort of an outside opinion from that, and those are the guys on the ground working day to day.
Yeah, definitely. And then last season was obviously on the pitch, but with obviously the COVID pandemic, what did it really change behind the scenes with you and the family and the board as well?
I mean, behind the scenes, I think you're just feeling the same as everyone else. For me, it's just the fact that football without the fans is rubbish. It's better than no football at all, but that's not saying a lot. I mean, your whole reason for existing is for your community to bring people together. Like, that is the heart and soul of it. So without that, it's pretty hollow. And the fact that we were pretty awful at the same time didn't make it. Everyone's going through a really hard time, and we weren't making it any better for anyone. So it's been tough in that sense, and I think for players and that to keep going, obviously they love their job and they're getting to do their job when other people aren't, but at the same time I think it's still difficult when we weren't in the high performance centre yet, so the conditions weren't perfect, and they had a bit of a thankless task at times. So really excited to have people back and getting back to what we should all be about.
Definitely. How difficult was it, obviously, doing all the making of the Robins High Performance Centre and then moving into it during COVID? Was that any different of what it would have been if none of this actually did happen?
I think it's different in the fact that you couldn't get everyone in the building at once. Moving in was no problem at all because suddenly the space you've got and being able to do more straight away is great. And now we've got the academy in there, you've got the first team in there, and it's pretty much filling up. Obviously, you've still got some of the protocols in place, so it's not 100% as it would be, but it's a completely different environment, and it gives every opportunity for players to develop and come through the system and improve their game. So it's a real difference to the club, and in perfect terms you'd probably have that in place before you do the stadium and everything else, because it's a key building block, but it's there now, and it's a real help for the future for attracting and improving players.
Do you think that will be a major part of attracting more players to join Bristol City, as well as helping out the academy and stuff as well?
I think so, definitely. I mean, that is where they spend a lot of their life, so it's going to come into it. People have different motivation, but a lot of the time it comes down to simple things about what it's the people, it's the place, and it's the environment. So you try and get the best people you can around, you try and create the best culture you can, but that's driven by the people, and if you've got the environment, then it all comes together. So it just means that if you get something moving strongly in the right direction, you've got everything pushing behind it, and it takes away some of those excuses and really helps raise everything up and give people a place they enjoy coming.
Definitely. And now we finished the Robins High Performance Centre and the 3 stands behind us. Do you think next up on your list will be fixing up the Atia?
I think at some point there would be the obvious. You're going to do it before the others. So I think we need to get this place back and running first, and hopefully taking those steps as a club. It would be great to have a place where the Robins Foundation can work out of on a full-time basis as a bigger project down the line as well. So I think then, for me, legacy-wise, for community, for Bristol as a city, to have the High Performance Centre, the stadium, and that community hub would put everything in place that you'd want to for your football club.
Yeah, and we spoke a bit about fans earlier, and we've obviously got fans returning to Ashton Gate on Saturday in the final pre-season friendly. How much work has actually gone into that behind the scenes, from knowing that fans will be allowed back to obviously then today, which is just 2 days away from having fans back here?
I think there's a lot, but it's been gradual. I mean, you can hear people cleaning away now, but I think it's getting back into that habit, which is obviously it's what we're all about. So it's just getting back into the swing of things, really. There's been a number of false starts on the way football-wise between our last game against Fulham and now, but it's a massive relief to finally be able to get everybody back here, and we'll be ready for it.
And you said earlier that last season was obviously disappointing, which I think every Bristol fan could tell. Do you think having fans back here, not only for the pre-season friendly, but Blackpool obviously in a few weekends' time, and then heading into next season as well, do you think that will really help out obviously the players on the pitch as well as Bristol City behind the scenes as well?
Massively. I mean, the football here, when there were no fans, because I could still come to games, it's totally different. It's not the same. It doesn't have that emotion, that feeling to it that helps drive your team on. I know it's the same for both, but you can certainly see it from your own team's point of view. And I think it was massively missed. All players will be different. Some people it might help because there's less pressure on them. But everyone's different. I think most of those players, the crowd lifts you, especially when you're at home, especially when you're struggling. You need them.
Yeah, definitely. So as I said, we've talked a lot about fans, and just to finish this off, I asked a few fans as well, a few questions to ask you, and I've got a few here. Probably the most asked question was where do you see this club in 5 years' time, and do you think in the next 5 years or so, or when do you see Bristol City next playing Premier League football?
It's the aim. It's what you're working towards all the time. I think the last year would have shown, and you'll see it now in the transfer market with Championship clubs. It's been a really tough time for clubs, but it's also an opportunity in that sense that if you get things right, why not? And we're going to continue to do things the way we think is right. We're going to look to build. The last couple of years has been, we had the continuous improvement before that, go in the right direction, but we haven't quite got there. So it's been a bit of a small bit of a reset now in terms of turnover of squad and looking to go again. But that's exactly the aim, and for us, it's putting the foundations in place and doing it our way to get there. Because the way the Premier League works and your parachute payments, you can't compete with those guys financially. So you've got to find your way of doing it, and that's recruiting smart and getting the team spirit in the right blend and balance, and trying to get the whole city behind you.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that we've seen from you guys in the board to help Bristol City get there, not only pumping the money into the stadium, the high performance centre, as well as obviously bringing in the players and Nigel Pearson. Another frequently asked question was what stood out from Nigel Pearson last year when we got him in as manager, and why did he stand out from the rest for you guys to obviously choose him as Bristol City's manager?
I mean, from the short-term point of view, we were worried about getting relegated, so we needed to make a change. We felt we had to make a change straight away because we were concerned. Nigel was available at that point. I think you'd go, right, can you get through to the close season or near the close season? Take your time, make an appointment. We didn't feel we had that luxury, so you wanted the process is sped up in that sense. You want the best person, but you also want the best person for now, and whether that's two different people or the same person. But Nigel has those qualities. He's obviously got great experience. He's a real leader, and galvanise a group. And once he's got his foot in the door, we were lucky we had such a strong candidate who was available to come in short term. And then once you're in, if you're the right person, then it's quite an easy interview after that. So it was a perfect fit both ways in those senses, and really looking forward to seeing his team. He's had the chance to put his stamp on it and have some training time with them and get a group together.
Yeah, I think that's you and all the fans as well. Do you think then relegation was a worry at some points last season?
Yeah, definitely. When we made the managerial change, that was why you did it. Football is it's a momentum game as much as anything, and we were on a downward spiral, and you've got to look to try and what card have you got to play as a board at that point. We like to give people as long as we possibly feel we can, and you look to back who you've got, but at some point, that's what we're there for. It was a realistic worry, and luckily we've managed to get away with it last season, and I think we'll be much better this year. Let's hope.
And you mentioned that you obviously want to give Nigel time to put a stamp on the team. Do you think we can maybe expect any more summer signings this year, or are we looking for just ahead of the new season now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done most of our work that we really wanted to do early. I think you'd have got the same from Nigel's interviews. I mean, as a football club, you're always looking to improve, whether that's anything. So we'd never say never, but we're not out there scrambling to try and find something. I think you can see from the two teams that played this week, you've got we've got two strong 11s there, and they're all competing for places, and there's a nice mix there with some of the younger guys as well. So look, I think we've got a very strong squad already. We obviously had a much bigger squad, which became a problem at times last year, but that's not what Nigel wants to work with. He wants a tighter squad, and he's managed to fill the key positions he wanted to fill, and we'll look to improve from here. So that depends. You never know what's going to happen with your existing players, and the recruitment guys and everything else will be ready to improve as we go, whether that's now, January, next summer. But you plan it out, but we've got the base and the core of what we want.
Yeah, definitely. One final question then from me. What are your ambitions personally for the season? Where would you like to see Bristol City come May next year?
I mean, you always aim for promotion, but that's going to be everyone's aim. It's sport. You've got very competitive people around, and they're going to be striving for that. Realistically, we've got to stabilise. You've got to start from somewhere. We've got to stabilise what we've had last season, because it obviously did not end particularly well. We managed to survive, but that's not what we want to be doing. What we want to be about. We're looking to build something now. So we got to get going, and as we talked about, the momentum. So if you get a good group together and they're playing together, you never know where it can take you. But you know they'll be looking to get some consistency and patterns of play and something for the fans to get behind, and it'll be absolutely wonderful to have them back, and hopefully they'll be pleasantly pleased and be able to get behind the lads and see something they enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you very much for speaking to me today, Jon. Hope you enjoyed it.
No problem. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys all on the next one. Come on, you Reds.